Hello, everybody. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach French, Spanish, and Japanese out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. You can talk to me here on YouTube. You can go to studio-nemo.com. You can reach me in the Duolingo Educators Network. Let's have a discussion about the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines. This is the website. I will link it in the description. And today we're just going to look at the very first core thinking routine, circle of viewpoints. Let's go look at it right now. So you go to the website, you scroll down, you find the core thinking routines, circle of viewpoints, it's right here. What will come up is these resource links, and generally, not for all of them, but for many of them, they've already translated them into Espanol, if you would like to look at them entirely in Spanish. They might have a couple of explanations of what visible thinking is and stuff like that. But basically you click on it and it gives you this little PDF of what the thinking routine is and how to use it. Now, this is all really good, but for us in the world language classroom, even if you look at the Spanish version, it's not quite what we need when we're teaching language. So this is what I want to do in this channel, this playlist, is just basically pick these apart and see if we can find better ways to use them in the world language classroom. Now for this one, circle of viewpoints, this is all about getting students to brainstorm a list of different perspectives. And they're in your world language classroom, so that's what they're getting, right? Occasionally, I'll have a student blurt out in the middle of class, "That's so stupid, why do they do it that way?" And of course, you want to pounce on these as fast as possible, right? So one way to do it is get your students into the mind frame. You got to get them thinking about the culture. You cannot speak a language without understanding the culture. So this is your opportunity to say, okay, well, sushi is important to the Japanese, so they're going to soften it with an honorific o on the front. If you just say sushi, it sounds a bit abrupt. You want to say o sushi. It's just more polite. If you're in France and you walk into a restaurant and you order a steak, and you say, "Wowie zowie, this is the most delicious steak I've ever eaten in my life," they're going to think you're lying to them. They think you're being sarcastic. So let's practice both ways. Let's do it the American way, over the top hammy, and let's do it the understated French way. And then give your students an opportunity to think deeply. Okay, so knowing what we know about bragging in French or important foods in Japanese or whatever, knowing what we know about that, how do you think we would apply it to this situation here? And get them to extrapolate and apply it to the next thing. Okay, you're going to want to give your students lots of examples. All right, yes, so les toilettes is plural in French. And les vacances is also plural, even though these things are singular in English. So I just happen to have a list because I predicted that somebody was going to ask this question. Here's a bunch of other stuff we might come across that are singular in English but plural in French. And then don't forget to give your students think time. We never give our students enough think time. I've seen professionals, high quality, been doing this years and years and years, selected by companies and methods and products to represent them, and they never give their students enough think time. I never give my students enough think time. It's something we all struggle with. Just keep reminding yourself, got to give my students think time so they can process this. Have examples in English handy in your back pocket. I don't have a picture of a back pocket from Duolingo, just have front pockets. But you're going to want to compare. You got to make your comparisons, right? Your ACTFL comparisons. Get ready to say, this is how we do it in English, okay? So, I know that you thought el agua was masculine because it's el, okay? Well, what do we do in English when we have apple? Do we say apple? No, we don't. Why do we change it? Okay, well in Spanish, why would we need to invent another word? We already have el and la. Instead of saying la agua and getting that glottal stop, why don't we just flip to the L, okay? Oh, delicieux. I know that you wanted to make that plural, and I know you just added an S to it. That's called overcorrection, and it's something we do all the time in language. When you were 2 years old, you said, "I got 2 feet." And then you learned after a while that you don't add an S to everything, even though we do know that S is plural. So don't stress about it. It's something we do all the time. Oh, how about idioms? We're always struggling over idioms, right? I have a pretty good example of an idiom here. And then you give your think time. You let them think. Can you think of any idioms? I have a pretty good example. Okay, when I said pretty good, is this what you imagined? Did you imagine beautiful good? Nope. It's just an idiom. It's just the way we talk. So have these examples ready so that when they come up, you can just pull them out. Of course, we want to push our students to use the target language as much as possible. Now, one of my struggles with the thinking routines is that I mostly teach first and second year language. And so to get them to use the target language in these really deep cognitive demands is difficult. So I've got to put a lot of scaffolding out. I got to do a lot of hand holding, lots of supports. So take whatever Harvard Project Zero has and make sentence frames out of it. Okay, so I'm thinking of, there's your sentence frame. Put it on the board in your target language. I think, put that on the board in your target language. A question I have from this viewpoint is, put a question I have about this. Don't, you can make the language more simple. Word banks, word banks, word banks. Whatever words your students are going to need, be prepared with a word bank. Write it out ahead of time. You're going to be adding to it on the fly as the students ask you stuff, but have the basics of it already written out. All right, now the second component of this thinking routine is be an actor. Take on the character of your viewpoint. This is super fun. This is great, especially if you ever sprinkle in a little goofy Suggestopedia into anything. Have a box of ugly clothing and goofy props ready, and that makes this part really fun. If nothing else, if your students are really floundering, if nothing else, have them generate a list of questions. Then at least they're working on how to make questions. All right, so I want this to be a living document. Comment below how you're using this thinking routine. Let's add to it. Let's make it really robust. Let's make the Harvard Project Zero thinking routines even better than they already are. Hope to hear from you.